That brings us to the news, starting, Liam, with the fire.
The roof. The roof is on fire. Should I light my roof on fire in, like, support and unity?
No, because then you'll burn and die.
Yeah, I'm not 30 yet.
That's a watch-along reference, which you will get if you give us $10.
I want to bring that up, but we're out of the wacky portion. We've got to get to the actual TNA.
Two Florida newspapers detailed the fire incident at the Hard Justice pay-per-view on August 13th. The Orlando Sentinel briefly wrote, a worker at Universal Studios in Orlando was taken to hospital Sunday night for treatment of smoke inhalation after extinguishing a small fire on a catwalk above a soundstage. Wrestling matches were occurring at the time. The worker, whose name was not released, used a dry chemical extinguisher. No one else was injured, and the wrestling matches resumed after the firefighters cleared the smoke and chemicals from the area. The Miami Herald provided more details in its August 14th newspaper, saying a small fire interrupted the opening match on the TNA Hard Justice pay-per-view on August 13th from Universal Studios. While Eric Young and Johnny Devine battled in the ring, a flame appeared on the padding of a pillar above the ring of Soundstage 21. The sparks from the pyro to open the show was the probable cause of the minor blaze. After a 15, closer to 30, minute delay,
Damn it.
fans were allowed...
You said blaze.
Oh, you want...
I was going to do the thing.
Which is also a watch-along.
There's a watch-along bit.
Well, yeah, we're creating watch-along canon. We don't usually do that.
This is too much. It must have been a good watch-along.
After a 15-minute delay, fans were allowed to return and the show continued. When the fire marshals decided to evacuate the building, there was a mini panic as TNA executives tried to organize and decide what to do. Soon, though, they met with fire officials and were cooperative and calm, soon believing that sooner than later fans would be let back in. The main concern of the fire officials was that the fire extinguisher used was chemical-based and could potentially be a health risk for fans and the performers. So the main reason they evacuated was ultimately not because of the actual fire, but because of concerns about the fire extinguisher that was used and whether or not that might actually cause some health effects for the fans.
Fun note is that we actually had listeners who were there. Allegedly, they could be lying, it is the internet. But that is really funny to me, that like some people were there that we were talking about it, including IVP videos.
Yeah, when we posted this to Twitter, there was a couple people. I did ask somebody for memories, but I don't think they replied on time. So I would have included that person's memories.
You're blocked!
Yeah, Liam is ruthless now. Eric Young, who was on Wrestling Observer Live, I believe, like, as it was happening.
Yeah, someone mentioned that too, which is, like, crazy. Like, you imagine how much heat someone would get for that now?
Going on, like a dirt sheet radio show as a fire was breaking out backstage.
Tony would fire them.
Eric said it tasted like a big bag of salt and vinegar chips, presumably talking about,
That's
like, the fire
awesome.
extinguisher.
I take it back. Maybe they should all say that. And just, like, sucked up the chemicals. What's your favorite chip?
As in crisp. I like a waffle. I like a ranchero. I like a skip.
Wait, are these flavors or brands?
Brands.
I want flavors.
Well, the waffle is like a...
I can't relate to your European brands.
Specifically Irish brands, because like Ireland is the mecca of crisps, because the Tato brand...
I have tried Tato.
But like the regular Tato is like, it's just cheese and onion, but the broader Tato portfolio will give you like chickadees and banshee bones and monster munch and mighty munch and meanies. Oh, meanies.
Why are they called these things?
Snacks, chipsticks, so many crisps.
Okay.
If you ever come here, I will just lay them all out in front of you so that you can witness the wonders. Because, like, listen, Jumpies are fine. I enjoyed Jumpies. They were good.
Well, you're not coming on this pod. This is not an anti-Jumpy podcast.
I had a good time with Jumpies and then bizarrely saw them in Austria. I'm not sure where they confused that Austria has enough of the letters of Australia.
They were different.
They were.
Not the same Jumpy.
And I didn't buy them, so I didn't know that they taste the same. But, like, Jumpies are good, but, like, you come to Ireland and you look at, like, the crisp selection, and you're like, holy shit, there's so many more crisps. It's not just the regular shaped potato chip with different salted flavor on it. You can get all sorts of shit here.
Okay. Your chips also, like, ungodly expensive?
It depends. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not.
They're damn near $10 for a bag here.
Alright, they're not that bad.
Yeah, well, you know, we're price gouging, so shit's crazy right now.
I didn't know, like, listen, everything in Australia feels more expensive because of the currency.
Yes.
So to me, everything feels more expensive. But even in my head, when I started, like, doing currency conversions, I was like, even that's still a little steep.
Everything is, it's really bad.
We'll break format slightly here, and we might as well talk about the actual like match and then the response to the fire right now, as opposed to doing it during the actual Brawl topics. So as mentioned, the match that was happening in the ring as this happened was Eric Young and Johnny Devine. Like,
I thought it was snowing.
Yeah, because you just saw like little flecks of what ultimately was the fire extinguisher coming down.
I was like, are we doing Sting's WWE debut? Or I guess AEW debut?
He does like snow. So yeah, the fire extinguisher started drifting down. Like Johnny Devine hit a very nice float over DDT.
Mm-hmm. He did, despite it all.
Yeah, and then that started trickling down, and like the entire arena, because like it wasn't a particularly big fire. It did look to be like just one.
They did seem to be missing it repeatedly with the fire extinguisher.
Listen, it's very hard in the rafters to hit the small target with the fire extinguisher. So yeah, these two guys are wrestling, and suddenly like the arena is covered in fog, or like it is the fire extinguisher foam. What's the word for that?
I think it depends on the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
I just twisted my neck in a way that shot pain all the way down my back.
But do you feel better now?
No.
Aww.
It just hurt. It didn't crack. I just like gave myself whiplash.
So like the fire extinguisher mist covers the entire building. The crowd start chanting, "The roof, the roof, the roof is on fire."
Great bit. Like, if I'm gonna die in a burning blaze, that's what I want to be chanting.
Later in the show, when they're stalling for time, Mike Tenay is like, "You know what? Great job to the fans who did not leave when the building caught fire."
Insane take.
He's like, really good of them to stay and watch Eric Young and Johnny Devine finish their match, and they didn't go straight to a finish. Like, they had a little like what the fuck is going on, and then they wrestled for like 3 more minutes before eventually EY won with a wheelbarrow neckbreaker. The crowd also did "You Can't See Us" while doing the John Cena taunt. Very good. So yeah, EY just wins. They continue their match because like EY gets a roll up like 30 seconds after the fog covers the arena, and I was like, oh, they're just going to a finish. It's like, nope, Johnny Devine kicks out, and they still do like 2 more minutes of wrestling,
which again is like impressive if not stupid.
There's an angle here that we will talk about. Who gives a fuck about Earl Hebner? But we'll talk about that in a minute. So now they need to stall for time because the building is on fire. So they play a feature for the match that was meant to be up next, which was AMW versus the Naturals versus the James Gang versus Shazarian. That match ultimately gets cut for time, so there's a feature for a match that doesn't happen. There's a bunch of features on Sting that were in the Go Home show that they play to fill like a full block of 5 minutes. So like match happens, fire happens, match finishes, we go to Mike and Don a little bit, I think they run down the card, then we get another like 7 minutes or so of features, and we come backstage to Mike, Danae, and JB, who are backstage like with microphones, with like firemen buzzing around, fire trucks buzzing around, as they tell us that the fire marshal has evacuated so that they can do a test. As we learned, the test is on the fire extinguisher contents. And then we need to stall for time.
Yeah, so we just you know, we do the best thing, which is just let wrestlers improv.
Mike Tenay, first and foremost, is upset that his tuxedo is now disheveled. It has all the fire extinguisher stuff on it. They show a replay of the fire, just in case you missed it.
I like how they did cut to the fire mid-match.
They did, because you had to. Like, what the fuck is happening? Why is the building no longer visible? Don West comes up. He informs us that they've cleared the building and fans are being let in. The show will resume momentarily. This is where Tenay is like, it's really good that they stuck around for the match, you know? Big true fans watching this Johnny Devine, Eric Young match at the fear of burning to death.
I mean, I would stay for it.
Then Eric Young comes up and he's like, I need everybody to know that the fire was not my fault.
Don't fire me for the fire.
Jim Cornette, I didn't start the fire.
It was always burning since the world was turning.
Damn it, I was going to make a Billy Joel reference. But then, more importantly, Monty Brown strolls up.
And they just let him vibe.
And he talks for, I believe, 4 minutes. And he does a full Monty Brown promo, talking about how he would like to blaze everybody.
Weed noise.
Thank you. He runs down Rhino and Joe. Tenay's like, you can't call him Fat Joe. To which Monty Brown responds by singing, hey Joe, why you running round with that cheeseburger in your hand?
I assume that's a reference.
It probably is. This is the one, like that Nash Happy Birthday song that everyone told us what it was.
Yeah.
He keeps going, and it's the perfect combination of bad and amusing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun to watch Monty Brown go off.
There's like a few notes, I didn't include them, but there's a few notes about how TNA were hot at Monty Brown, pardon the pun, because he had, like, they were sick of his promo style. Like, they wanted him to do more serious promos. And I'm like, you guys did not know what you had with this man. He calls Joe a hippofant, Rhino a herbivore. Then he looks at a hippofant as a combination of hippo and elephant, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, I think people got that one.
He looks at Mike Tenay and is like, you don't know what that means, herbivore. And it's like, but it means plant eater.
Ugh.
Then pounds period, he's going to win the false count
You
anyway.
just said... No, I guess he said that Joe had the cheeseburger, so he is consistent, if nothing else.
And you might think that's the most unhinged promo in this segment. Shane Douglas walks up.
I feel like that's an age-old sentiment.
He's up there with the Naturals, the newly franchised Naturals, and he says, George Bush is a great president because he had a war of terrorism thrown in his lap and rose to the occasion.
Okay.
And tonight, the Naturals have to be like George Bush. This is an instance of insecurity, and they have to rise to the occasion. And their match got cut, so they didn't.
I'm sure we'll run it back on Impact Wrestling.
And like George Bush, they will be adaptable and flexible and do no war crimes.
Well, there's already chemical warfare on this night, so...
One of the reasons the Monty Brown promo went so long was because they were thinking, like, if they got the fans in the building on time, that the way they would go back to live action is that, like, Joe and Rhino would attack Monty during the interview, and you'd start the Falls Count Anywhere match back right there, and then come back to the building.
That's fun.
But they decided not to do that mid-promo, and the reason Monty talked so long was that, like...
They didn't tell him.
They didn't tell him. They were like, we're not sure if we're going to do this, but if we are, you'll get jumped by Rhino. If not, just keep talking, I guess.
I like that Rhino was just like off camera listening to this Monty Brown promo.
He would have loved it. Yeah, but ultimately they went back to a JB pre-tape and continued the show with Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, which is a match that was not supposed to take place either, but we'll get to that in a minute. There was the WrestleMania we were talking about in the watch-along, where like the weather delayed the event. And it became like one of those like social media moments. And I feel like if a building caught fire on live pay-per-view, it would probably end up being like a lot. I think this is like more of a forgotten moment than like an iconic one. Like this pay-per-view was delayed by 30 minutes because the building caught fire.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun footnote, but like ultimately nothing really happened, so.
And it was a modest fire.
Yeah.
I like the way Mike and Don were like, we'll never forget this night.
It is like sort of remarkable that these things do not happen more. As they let off giant amounts of pyrotechnics in enclosed buildings.
The amount, you set up pyro and fireworks and have literal flames shoot up often. And the only thing I can think of is the Undertaker thing, right?
Yeah.
Where he accidentally got set on fire. And like the rest, like the Jeff Hardy one was obviously a worked thing. And Goldberg and Christian would walk through pyro. But yeah, one of those real fun, wacky things in TNA history. It's what our poster is based on, this one as well.
We have to make light of a tragic situation.
And no one died.
That one guy got unwell.
One man went to hospital, and I hope he's fine.
Yeah, well, there you go. You don't know, do you?
His name was not released. I don't know.
Hope you're doing okay, guy.